It's likely that the death of Lady Gan is what prompted the marriage proposal by Sun Quan to marry his sister off to Liu Bei. He travelled to Wu to politically strengthen the Sun-Liu alliance, then returned to his seat at Gong'an, which is where the marriage probably took place. As Sun Quan's sister, Lady Sun was safeguarded, so she not only acted in an arrogant, unbridled manner, but also allowed her bodyguards and staff to act lawlessly in Jing. For this reason, Liu Bei specifically appointed Zhao Yun to maintain law and order throughout the province, because he deemed him the most serious and conscientious person. Sun Quan recognized Liu Bei's control over southern Jing, but also agreed with Lu Su to lend him Nan Commandery, as their decided strategy was to create more enemies for Cao Cao and less enemies for themselves. Cao Cao was writing script when news arrived that Sun Quan had lent Jing province to Liu Bei, which shocked him into dropping his brush. Lu Su had succeeded Zhou Yu at the front line, so he moved his headquarters to Luku, yielding all of Jing except Jiang Xia to Liu Bei. During this period at Gong'an, Liu Bei dreaded Cao Cao's might in the north, feared Sun Quan's presence in the east, and was afraid that Lady Sun would cause trouble in his home territory. His influence in the south continued to grow, however, drawing in many more talents to come serve under him, such as Pang Tong, Wang Zhong, and Huayang. Acting from his main bases at Nan and Gong'an County, Liu Bei received an envoy from Sun Quan. The rice bandit Zhang Lu has made his base in Ba and acted as a king. He serves as Cao Cao's eyes and ears and wants to conquer Yi. The tail and the head are connected. You should first conquer Liu Zhang and Zhang Lu, and even if there is 10 Cao Cao, there'd be no need for us to worry. Many thought that they should conquer Yi alone, since Sun Quan couldn't extend his march beyond Jing province. Under Yin Guan's recommendation, Liu Bei did not act as Sun Quan's vanguard, because if they failed, then there's a high chance that all of Jing would be lost. They encouraged Sun Quan's idea, but explained they couldn't act yet after having only just conquered several territories, allowing them to maintain the choice to either advance or withdraw. With the fierce soldiers of Yi and the complicated terrain, the battle was far harder than imagined. When the civils saw the defeat at Chibi, they said Cao Cao's ambition was over and his power ended. Surely he wants to take his horse to the farthest commanderies of the world, so why would he allow us to expand ourselves? If we attack Liu Zhang without reason, Cao Cao would use this chance to crush us whilst we're infighting. This is not a good idea. At the Chancellor's office, two Wei officials debated Liu Bei, with one believing he would fall due to his past failures and Yi's natural defences. Fu Gan chastised him. Liu Bei is generous and lenient, his men are willing to fight to the death for him. His awareness, along with the three heroes, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei and Zhuge Liang, how can he not succeed? In 211, Zhang Song presented his plan to Liu Zhang to invite Cao Cao's unstoppable rival Liu Bei to save his province. He went along with Fa Zheng, 4,000 men and many expensive gifts to form the alliance, where Liu Bei welcomed them warmly and treated them with kindness. Lady Sun left quite an impression on Fa Zheng while he was in Jing, since he urged Liu Bei to have her sent back to Wu. Many of Liu Zhang's men looked to Liu Bei as a solution for a legitimate successor, as Zhang Song and Fa Zheng privately disapproved of Liu Zhang's governance. Liu Bei used this chance to learn more about Yi province's weaponry stores, number of horses, strategic locations and their distances to each other. He heard everything and more, for they even drew up a map with the locations of the mountains and rivers. Liu Bei learned all about the province with their help, before Liu Zhang had even invited him into Yi. When Sun Quan heard that Liu Bei had travelled to Yi, he sent a ship to fetch his sister. She tried to bring the 5 or 6-year-old Liu Shan along with her, but Zhao Yun and Zhang Fei led their men to intercept her and retrieved the little lord. At the meeting spot, Pang Tong, Zhang Song and Fa Zheng reported that they could use this chance to ambush Liu Zhang, but Liu Bei thought the plan was too hasty for such an important task. He led several tens of thousands on an expedition to meet his clansmen, where they both proposed promotions for one another. Liu Bei was further given command over Liu Zhang's White River army, so his strength was now over 30,000 men with plenty of weapons and horses. While Liu Zhang left for Chengdu, Liu Bei headed for Xiameng Pass, but instead of engaging Zhang Lu, he halted his advance to build up connections around the area. His kind and virtuous nature quickly grew his influence, so he soon gained the hearts of the locals. Among them was an eccentric man named Peng Yang, whose offensive language once landed him in deep trouble with Liu Zhang, who had sent him off to perform hard labour. He arrived from the south to try and join Liu Bei, so quickly became friends with Pang Tong, then also got recommended by Fa Zheng. Liu Bei agreed he was a rare talent, so immediately recruited him. He performed his tasks of relaying military orders and instructing other officers well, despite being condescending, rude and arrogant. Zhuge Liang had been quietly observing his behaviour and was right to guide Liu Bei to distance himself from the ambitious general. The following year, Cao Cao attacked Sun Quan, so Liu Bei called for assistance from Chengdu. Both me and Chuan were like lips and teeth. Guan Yu is also fighting at Xingni, so if I don't go and help now, he'll be defeated. If Cao invades Jing, it will be a greater threat than Zhang Lu, so I request 10,000 soldiers and more supplies to aid in the defence. When he was only granted 4,000 troops, Liu used this as motivation for his troops. We're all tired of fighting the enemies of the province, but still we cannot enjoy a peaceful life. Wealth is amassed in Chengdu's palaces, while the braves have to fight in Liu Zhang's place. He hopes we'll continue, but rewards our merit so feebly, how can he think as such? On the verge of returning to Jing, Zhang Song and Meng Da urged Liu Bei not to leave, then Zhang Song's brother suddenly discovered their secret communications. Song was executed when Liu Zhang found out about the betrayal, which then set in motion Liu Bei's takeover. When he engaged the different passes towards Chengdu, Huang Zhong and Zhou Ying led his troops, but Huang Zhong was always the first to charge the enemy formations, and among his army, none could match his martial skill nor bravery. The enemy generals were soundly defeated or gradually surrendered over, such as Wu Yi. Liu Bei took them and their families as hostages and proceeded towards Chengdu. As his army got stronger, he ordered his most trusted commanders out from Jing to pacify the other commanderies, such as Zhuge Liang, Zhang Fei and Zhao Yun. Only Guan Yu remained behind to guard. Pang Tong was killed by a stray arrow at Luo County, while Liu Zhang continued to hold up behind Chengdu's walls, so the siege became a prolonged one for over a year. The citizens were terrified when they heard that Ma Chao's army had defected from Zhanglu and were on their way, but they were still willing to put up a fight. Liu Bei was pleased to receive Ma Chao's letter and exclaimed, "Yi province is mine." When the people of Chengdu saw Ma Chao and his troops below the city walls, they were greatly demoralized, and fear spread through their ranks. Within 10 days of his arrival, Liu Zhang gave up resisting after not wishing to see any further bloodshed, so Liu Bei took over as governor of Yi, then relocated Zhang to Gong'an County. After taking the province, Liu Bei held a discussion on how to distribute the households in Chengdu and the fields outside the city among his followers. Zhao Yun objected, "Only when the empire has been completely pacified and the people can live in peace can we truly enjoy ourselves. The war has just ended, so the people in the province should have their lands and homes returned to them. They should be allowed to continue their lives in peace, then later we can impose taxes and conscription onto them. In this way, we can earn their favour, then their support." Liu Bei agreed, so a grand feast was held instead, where gold and silver was handed out as payment to the generals and soldiers, while abundant food and grain was handed out to the common people. He then went on numerous tours to consolidate his new title and promoted Zhuge Liang to an office that granted him control over all affairs of the state. Whenever Liu Bei left Chengdu, Zhuge remained behind to ensure the city was well stocked with supplies and well defended. His commanders, strategists and guests, both new and old, were placed into positions that their talents complemented, then they competed for Liu Bei's attention with ambitious aptitude. Liu Bei was now effectively divorced from Lady Sun and had two more sons, Liu Yong and Liu Li, who were both born in unknown years to different concubines. Due to a prediction that Lady Wu would rise to high nobility, she had once married Liu Yan's son Liu Mao, but after his death she did not remarry. Many of Liu Bei's new subordinates encouraged him to take Wu Yi's sister Lady Wu as his new wife. He was hesitant though, because he and Liu Mao were of the same clan, but Fa Zheng cited past dukes of old who had done the same, so Liu Bei agreed to the marriage. As one historian has put it, human relations begin with the marriage between two individuals. It's the source of a king's influence. If the common people must abide to ancestral customs, then it's even more so for their overlord. Duke Wen of Jin abolished these customs, using his personal power to serve his career, therefore Huayang rightfully chastised him. This was not without reason, for he had violated the common rule. In Liu Bei's situation, he wasn't forced to be so quick in his decision, yet by Fa Zheng mentioning a previous fault as an example, he didn't serve his ruler in the way that ancients teach us to, and Liu Bei in following his advice had made a mistake. Soon after Liu Bei's success, Lu Su arrived with Sun Quan's demand that they return the three commanderies in southern Jing, but he refused, saying he needed the extra strength to now conquer Liang province. Sun Quan disagreed, so sent Lu Meng to reclaim the lands by force, as Lu Su tried to relieve tensions by being friendly towards Liu Bei's side. Tensions rose at the borders between the men under Guan Yu, Lu Meng and Ling Tong's control until Liu Bei personally led 50,000 soldiers back to Gong'an. When Guan Yu reached Huayang with his 30,000, war was about to break out, but at this time Liu Bei received news that Zhang Lu had fled to Baxi because Cao Cao was invading Hanzhong. He requested a border treaty with Sun Quan so he could return to Yi, so Xiangxia, Changsha and Guiyang went to Sun Quan, while Nan, Lingling and Wuling came back to Liu Bei. The new border was set along the Xiang River, then Liu led his army back to Ba. Huang Chuan led his troops to rendezvous with Zhang Lu as quickly as possible, but by now he had joined Cao Cao as he had completely seized Hanzhong. He was not fond of the terrain however, so refused to advance any further, opting to leave Xie Haiyuan, Zhang He and Xu Huang to defend this key entry point into Yi. Under Fa Zheng's recommendation, Liu Bei set out to capture the strategically important location but initially failed to achieve any success in the opening battles. He continued to mobilize his forces around the area, prodding for a way through, but the war turned into a stalemate as Cao Cao started gathering a new army at Chang'an. In the months it took for him to lead the fresh troops through the Xi Valley, Xie Haiyuan had been slain by Huangzhong, while second-in-command Zhang He had retreated back north. Liu Bei quickly secured all of the strategic entry passes, then faced Cao Cao for several months, but they never actually engaged in battle. After the enemy gave up and deserted, Hanzhong was officially captured, so over 120 of Liu Bei's advisors urged him to challenge Cao Cao's title of King of Wei. When he declared himself King of Hanzhong, Liu Shan was to be his heir, and he established his headquarters at Chengdu. Wei Yan was left in charge of Hanzhong, while Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Ma Chao and Huang Zhong were appointed generals of the vanguard, right, left and rear. Zhuge Liang advised, Huang Zhong's renown cannot be compared to Guan Yu or Ma Chao, yet now you wish them to have the same rank. Ma Chao and Zhang Fei were nearby, so personally saw Huang Zhong's achievements, but Guan Yu's far away. When he hears of this, I fear he'll be displeased. What do you think? Liu Bei said he would personally resolve it, thus Huang Zhong was given equal rank to Guan Yu and the others, plus they were all given fief as marquis within the passes. In early winter of 219, Lu Meng invaded Jing province, executed Guan Yu, and captured Liu Bei's territories. He turned furious, and ordered his men to begin preparing for war with Sun Quan, while reports that Emperor Xian had been killed by Cao Pi also reached Liu Bei's ears. He adopted a deep mourning period, while declaring his sympathies for the fallen emperor and his brother. More and more officials within the court reported favourable omens which advocated for Liu Bei to declare himself emperor. If you don't heed everyone's advice, your associates will go back to seeking a sovereign, and no one will want to follow you anymore. The Cao family have usurped the Han, and China has no sovereign. From the great royal clan of Liu, you have risen to overcome these times. The appropriate action for you to repay the great effort and hardship your associates have gone through is to take the position of emperor. Zhao Yun was among those who warned Liu Bei against attacking Sun Quan. We should eliminate Wei first, then Wu will surrender on its own. Cao Cao is already dead, but his son Cao Pi has taken the throne. You should follow the people's will to conquer Liang, and shouldn't ignore Wei for a single moment. Once the war against Wu starts, it can't be stopped. In 221, Liu Bei established the state of Shu Han by declaring himself emperor. He established a bureaucracy with Zhuge Liang acting as his chancellor, and an ancestral temple where he offered sacrifices to the founding emperor of the Han. Lady Wu was his empress, with Liu Shan as his crown prince, while all his other sons were also elevated. When the official Peng Yang was about to leave Chengdu to assume his new post, he visited Ma Chao. What else can I say? That old piece of leather Liu Bei is ridiculous and muddle-headed. You're outside while I'm inside. The empire can still be pacified. Ma Chao was shocked to hear this, as he assumed he was being invited to act in a coup against Liu Bei, so he stayed silent and didn't respond. Acting on his best behaviour, he secretly reported Peng Yang, who was then arrested and executed. Liu Bei ignored Zhao Yun's advice and started amassing his armies at Jiangzhou. Zhang Fei was murdered by his subordinates during the mobilization, to which Liu Bei exclaimed, "Oh, Fei is dead." He left Zhao Yun behind, then led his armies to avenge Guan Yu and retake his lost territories, while Zhuge Liang was left in charge over state affairs. A few weeks before the decisive engagement, there was an impressive yellow aura that manifested into the sky, which many saw as an omen. The Shou forces were still able to achieve victories during the onset of battle against the Sun commandants, up until their frontline commander Liu Zhang retreated the Wu armies to Yiling. Knowing his enemy would not be expecting an attack, he ordered a sudden counterstrike where most of the expedition force was wiped out. The preceding fire attacks destroyed 40 of Liu Bei's camps as they were linked together by wooden fences. Then the survivors fled northwest to the Man Hills. Liu Zhang caught up with Liu Bei's men before they could properly regroup and defeated them while they were preparing defences. He managed to escape to Baidi Cheng overnight by ordering his men to pile up their armour to form a blockade, which they then set on fire. Liu Zhang was unable to pass by effectively or easily, so decided not to overextend his forces and retreated. Within Baidi, Liu Bei retired away to Yufu County, which he renamed Yong'an, meaning everlasting peace. As Cao Pi invaded Sichuan, he fell sick and lamented his loss. My defeat is heaven's will. He accepted Sichuan's envoy for peace, which renewed their alliance, but as his sickness grew more serious, he summoned Zhuge Liang from Chengdu and appointed him and Li Yan as regents to support Liu Shan. Sir, you're 10 times more talented than Cao Pi. You'll definitely bring peace to the empire and accomplish our great mission. If my heir can be assisted, then assist him. If he turns out incompetent, then you may make your own decision. He encouraged all of his sons to treat the Chancellor as a father, do their utmost to help him, live well and do right. At first my illness was only minor, but it grew into a serious disease that can't be cured. If a man dies at 50, it's not considered an early death, yet I'm already past 60, what is there to regret? I'm not worried about me, but I am worried about you and your brothers. Be vigilant, Liu Shan, be vigilant. If an evil is minor, then resist it nonetheless. If a good deed is trifling, then perform it all the same. The Chancellor thinks highly of you, and sees you as a bright man exceeding his expectations. If he thinks so highly of you, then I can leave in peace. Only wisdom and virtue can truly win men's devotion. I was not a virtuous man, so do not emulate me. When you work, you should study the history of the Han and the record of the rites. In your free time, you should study philosophy, such as the 6 boat cases and the Book of Lord Shang. This will elevate your soul, then you can seek out the worthies. After he passed, Liu Bei's body was brought back to Chengdu and entombed 4 months later at Huayang, where he was buried alongside Lady Wu. An alternate account doesn't state whether she or Liu Shan's mother, the lady whom the emperor misses, Lady Gan, was buried with Liu Bei. Either way, his son succeeded him as emperor, while Zhuge Liang solidified peace with Sun Quan and rebuilt the old Sun-Liu alliance, but this time against Cao Pi. Many leaders arose in the Central Plains during the Great Chaos, yet in the end, all of their armies were pacified by Cao Cao, for he possessed divine martial valor and exceptional strategical thinking. Looking at Liu Bei, he was a man of modest reputation and an obscure background, but he was able to rise like a dragon and soar like a phoenix. His personal qualities and presence can no longer be properly reconstructed, but he was primarily concerned with the loyalty of his followers and showed a limited interest in a long-term stable future. After suffering several defeats in the early days, he surrendered to Cao Cao, who treated him generously. He then joined an assassination plot against him, only to flee to the north, then to the south, so it's not inappropriate that the destruction of his wider ambitions came through an unexpected act of treachery by his own ally. Liu Bei was a man of remarkable character who inherited the Han dynasty, then split the land into 3. Could such a man have enjoyed such a mission if he didn't possess heroic talents or delight in heaven's mandate? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.